The handcuffs bit into Samuel Washington's wrists as Officer Brennan shoved him against the patrol car. The metal was cold, unforgiving, just like the eyes of the two rookie cops who'd pulled him over 3 blocks from his daughter's house. "I told you, officers. I have my license. It's in my wallet." Samuel's voice was steady, despite the tremor in his hands. 73 years of dignity wouldn't crumble on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Chicago. Officer Brennan, no older than 25 with a crew cut that screamed fresh academy graduate, yanked the wallet from Samuel's back pocket. He flipped through it carelessly, cards falling to the wet pavement. "This license expired 6 months ago, old man. That's impossible. I renewed it in..." "Save it." Officer Martinez, Brennan's partner, equally young and twice as eager, grabbed Samuel's shoulder. "You were driving erratically. Probably shouldn't be on the road at your age anyway." A small crowd had gathered on the corner of Michigan Avenue. Phones were already out recording. Samuel felt the shame burn hotter than the autumn sun. He'd survived the projects, raised 3 children alone after his wife passed, worked double shifts at the steel mill for 40 years. And now this. "Please," Samuel said quietly. "Just check your system. My license is valid. Don't tell us how to do our job." Brennan's grip tightened. Maybe if you people spent less time making excuses. "Excuse me." The voice cut through the commotion like a blade. Sharp, commanding, undeniable. Everyone turned. A woman stood at the edge of the crowd. Late 40s, impeccably tailored black suit, dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. Diamond earrings caught the light, but it was her eyes that made Brennan's hand loosen on Samuel's arm. Cold, calculating, dangerous. She walked forward with absolute confidence. The crowd parted instinctively. "Ma'am, step back. This is official police business," Martinez said, but his voice had lost its edge. The woman didn't step back. She stepped closer, heels clicking on concrete with military precision. She looked at Samuel first, her expression softening almost imperceptibly, before turning that ice-cold gaze on the officers. "Official police business," she repeated, her accent carrying traces of Italian. "Is that what we're calling harassment of elderly citizens now?" "Ma'am, I won't ask again." "Good, because I won't listen again." She pulled out her phone, not to record, to make a call. "This is Isabella Russo. Badge numbers 4782 and 4791, Michigan Avenue and East Randolph. I need Superintendent Chen here immediately." Brennan's face went pale. "How do you know our badge numbers?" Isabella didn't answer him. She was speaking to someone else, her tone leaving no room for discussion. "Yes, I'll wait. Tell him it's urgent." She ended the call and looked directly at Samuel. The ice melted. Something ancient and sad flickered in her eyes. "Mr. Washington," she said softly, "I apologize for what you're experiencing." Samuel blinked. "You know my name?" "I do." "Ma'am, you can't just interfere with an arrest." Martinez tried again, but he sounded less convinced now. Isabella turned to him slowly. "With all due respect, Officer Martinez, I can do whatever I want in this city. Your superintendent knows it, and in about 60 seconds, you're going to know it too." A black SUV pulled up. 3 men in dark suits emerged, moving with fluid precision. They radiated authority that made the rookie cops look like children. The back door opened. A man in his 60s stepped out. Expensive suit, face lined with stress. Superintendent James Chen looked at the scene, at Isabella, at Samuel in handcuffs, and his jaw tightened. "Ms. Russo," he said carefully, "I got your call." "Superintendent." Isabella's smile was razor-thin. "Your officers seem confused about proper procedure." Chen looked at Brennan and Martinez. Both rookies suddenly found the pavement fascinating. "Uncuff Mr. Washington now." "But sir, his license..." "I said now, Officer Brennan." The handcuffs came off. Samuel rubbed his wrists, trying to process what was happening. Who was this woman? Chen picked up Samuel's wallet himself, collecting the scattered cards. He examined the license. His face darkened. "This license is valid. Current through next year. What made you think it was expired?" Brennan had no answer. "Go back to the station," Chen said quietly. "Both of you. We'll discuss your future with the department later." The rookies left quickly, tires squealing. Chen turned to Samuel. "Mr. Washington, I apologize. The city will be in touch regarding compensation." He got back in his SUV and left. The crowd dispersed. Isabella remained. She stood in front of Samuel, and something in her expression made his breath catch. Recognition flickered at the edges of his memory. "You don't remember me," she said softly. "Should I? 40 years ago. A different city, a different life." Isabella touched his hand gently. "You saved someone who had no right to be saved. A little girl who made a terrible mistake. You could have let her face consequences, but you didn't." Samuel's heart began to pound. A memory surfaced. New York City. A cold winter night. A frightened teenager with blood on her hands, crying in an alley. "The girl," he whispered. "The one who—" "Yes. But you were just—" "I was 15. Stupid. Desperate. You called me a cab instead of the police. You gave me money for a bus ticket home." Isabella's eyes glistened. "You told me everyone deserves a second chance." She stepped back. The warmth vanished. The ice returned. "But what you need to know is this. No one touches you in this city. No one disrespects you. No one ever makes you feel small again." Her smile was terrifying. "Because that little girl you saved, she grew up to become the most dangerous woman in Chicago." Samuel stared at her. Isabella Russo. The name suddenly meant something, whispered stories, the woman who controlled half the city from the shadows. She leaned close and whispered 2 words. "Your guardian." Samuel sat in the back of Isabella's car, leather seats soft beneath him. His hands still trembled. The driver navigated Chicago traffic in silence, while Isabella poured him water from a crystal decanter. "Drink," she said gently. "You're in shock." He obeyed, grateful. The water was cold, clean, better than anything he'd tasted in years. "I don't understand," Samuel finally managed. "Why would you remember me? It was so long ago." Isabella looked out the window at the city passing by. Her reflection in the glass was hard, unreadable. "Some debts can never be repaid, Mr. Washington, but that doesn't mean we stop trying." She turned to face him, and suddenly she wasn't the powerful woman who'd made a police superintendent come running. She was something smaller, younger, vulnerable. "Let me tell you who I was before you saved me." Samuel listened. Isabella's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "My father was Antonio Russo. You might not know that name, but in certain circles it meant everything. He ran the East Coast. Drugs, protection, gambling. I was his only child, his princess." She laughed bitterly. "His greatest disappointment. Why? Because I was a girl. In his world, daughters were decorations, bargaining chips. I wanted to prove myself, show him I could be strong, ruthless, worthy." Her hands clenched. "So I made a decision that almost destroyed everything." Samuel remembered that night more clearly now. The alley behind the jewelry store, the girl covered in blood, sobbing hysterically. "There was a boy," Isabella continued, "Marco, my father's accountant's son. We thought we were in love. Stupid teenage love. He convinced me to help him rob one of my father's warehouses. Said we'd take the money and run away together. Start fresh." She closed her eyes. But Marco wasn't in love. He was working for the Calabrese family, our rivals. The whole thing was a setup to start a war. When I realized what I'd done, I panicked. I ran. "You were carrying a gun," Samuel said quietly. "You told me someone was hurt. Marco, when he tried to force me into the car with his real partners, I fought back. The gun went off. I didn't mean to shoot him, but I did." Isabella's voice cracked. I was 15 years old, covered in blood, and I'd just started a gang war. The Calabrese family would hunt me. My own father would kill me for the betrayal. Samuel remembered the terror in her eyes that night. He'd been doing his rounds as a security guard for a small office building. Minimum wage. Barely enough to feed his kids. But when he'd found her in that alley, something in her desperate face had reminded him of his own daughter. You didn't call the police, Isabella said. You didn't ask questions. You just looked at me and said, everyone deserves a second chance, young lady. I believed that, Samuel said simply. You gave me $40, all the cash you had. You called a cab and told the driver to take me to Port Authority. You said, get on a bus, go far away, start over, be better. Isabella wiped her eyes quickly, as if angry at the tears. So I did. I got on a bus to Chicago, changed my name, worked in restaurants, cleaned offices, lived in shelters. I was nobody for 3 years. What changed? My father died, heart attack, and suddenly the Russo Empire had no heir. The family was fracturing. Men who'd served my father for decades were fighting over scraps. She smiled coldly. So I came back, not as Antonio's ashamed daughter, as Isabella Russo, the rightful heir. They accepted you? Not at first, but I'd learned things in Chicago, patience, strategy, how to be ruthless without being reckless. I eliminated my father's killers one by one, made alliances, proved my worth through actions, not bloodline. Her eyes hardened. Within 5 years, I controlled more territory than my father ever dreamed of. The car pulled up to a beautiful brownstone in Lincoln Park, Isabella's home. Why did you come back to Chicago? Samuel asked. Because this city saved me. It gave me a second chance when I deserved none. So I claimed it, protected it, built something here. She looked at him directly. And I've been looking for you for 20 years, Mr. Washington. Searching for the security guard who showed mercy to a monster's daughter. I'm no one special. You're wrong. Isabella's voice was fierce. You're the reason I'm alive. The reason I became something more than my father's legacy. You saw humanity in me when I had none left. She opened the car door. Come inside. We have much to discuss. About what? Isabella smiled. About making sure those officers never work in law enforcement again. About ensuring your family never wants for anything. About repaying a debt 40 years overdue. Samuel followed her into the house, realizing his life had just changed forever. The girl he'd saved had become a queen, and queens always repaid their debts. Samuel woke up in a guest room that was bigger than his entire apartment. Silk sheets, marble bathroom, a view of Lake Michigan that took his breath away. He'd barely slept. Everything felt surreal. His phone buzzed. 17 missed calls from his daughter Monica. He dialed her back. Dad! Oh my God, are you okay? It's all over the news. I'm fine, baby, You're where? Whose house is this? The number came up as private. I'm safe. I'll explain everything soon. He ended the call before she could ask more questions. How could he explain Isabella? The past, the impossible present. A knock on the door. One of Isabella's security men entered with fresh clothes. Expensive, tailored, they fit perfectly. Ms. Russo requests your presence for breakfast, the man said. Samuel found Isabella on a sunlit terrace, reading a newspaper. Coffee steamed from delicate china cups, pastries arranged like art. Good morning, she said warmly. I hope you slept well. As well as someone can after yesterday. She gestured for him to sit. Eat. We have work to do today. Work? Isabella folded the newspaper. Her expression darkened. Officers Brennan and Martinez. They won't accept their suspension quietly. I've received intelligence that they're planning to fight back. Intelligence. I have eyes everywhere, Mr. Washington. The police union is backing them. They're claiming you were actually driving dangerously. That I intimidated Superintendent Chen. They're painting themselves as victims of political corruption. Samuel's stomach sank. So they'll get away with it. No! Isabella's voice was ice. They absolutely will not, but they're going to make this ugly first. Her phone rang. She answered, listened, her face hardening with each second. When she hung up, fury burned in her eyes. They've already started. There's a press conference in 2 hours. Brennan and Martinez with their lawyer. They're going to claim racial profiling allegations are false, that you have a history of traffic violations. That's a lie. I know, but lies spread faster than truth. Isabella stood, pacing like a caged predator. They're betting on public sympathy. 2 young officers just trying to do their jobs, persecuted by a powerful woman with mob connections. Mob connections? She looked at him steadily. That's what they'll call me. They're not entirely wrong. Samuel set down his coffee cup. Then maybe I should just let this go. I don't want to cause you trouble. Trouble? Isabella laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mr. Washington, I've toppled politicians, destroyed cartels, and rebuilt this city's underworld from ashes. 2 rookie cops are not trouble. They're insects. Her phone buzzed again. She read the message, and her expression changed. Something dangerous flickered across her face. What is it? They found your daughter's address. There's a news van outside Monica's house right now. Reporters asking her about your history of erratic behavior. Samuel's blood ran cold. No, leave her out of this. They won't. This is how they win. They make it too painful for you to fight back. They harass your family until you beg them to stop. Isabella's jaw clenched. It's a strategy I know well. I've used it myself. She made 3 quick calls, speaking in rapid Italian. Samuel caught words like immediately and no excuses. I've sent security to your daughter's house. The reporters will leave. But this is escalating faster than I anticipated. Isabella turned to him. They're scared, Mr. Washington. Scared people are dangerous. Why are they so determined? Because I embarrassed them publicly. Because if they lose this fight, every officer in Chicago will think twice before abusing their power. I've made them symbols. She smiled grimly. They're fighting for their careers. I'm fighting for something much bigger. What? The message that power has consequences, that money and influence can protect the vulnerable, that men like you, who've given everything to this city, deserve respect. Her voice softened. That the second chances we receive should be paid forward. Samuel felt the weight of her words. This wasn't just about him anymore. There's something else, Isabella said quietly. My sources tell me Brennan's father is Deputy Chief Harold Brennan, one of the most influential men in the department. That's why they're so confident. Then we can't win. Oh, we can win. But it's going to require something I've avoided for years. Isabella's expression was calculating. I'm going to have to reveal exactly how much power I hold in this city, and that revelation will change everything. For both of us. Before Samuel could respond, Isabella's head of security burst onto the terrace, phone in hand. Ms. Russo, we have a problem. Deputy Chief Brennan just issued an arrest warrant. For who? The man's face was grim. For you. Charges of witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, and threatening a police officer. Isabella didn't flinch. She smiled. Perfect, she said softly. Let them come. The police arrived within the hour. 6 patrol cars, lights flashing, creating a spectacle on the quiet Lincoln Park street. Neighbors emerged from their brownstones, phones recording. News helicopters circled overhead. Deputy Chief Harold Brennan stepped out of an unmarked sedan. 55, silver hair, the posture of a man who'd never been told no. His son stood beside him, smirking. Isabella waited on her front steps, perfectly calm. Samuel stood behind her, his heart hammering. Ms. Russo, Brennan Sr. announced loudly for the cameras. You're under arrest for obstruction of justice and witness intimidation. Am I? Isabella's voice carried across the street. That's interesting. Do you have a warrant? Brennan held up a paper. Signed by Judge Morrison this morning? Morrison, Isabella smiled. The same judge who owes his seat to your political contributions. How convenient. Step forward with your hands visible. Isabella didn't move. Before I do, Deputy Chief, I have a question. Does your son know what you did to get him through the academy? Brennan's face darkened. Excuse me. The exam scores he couldn't pass. The psychological evaluation he failed twice. The complaints from 3 different training officers about his temperament. Isabella's voice was conversational, almost friendly. You buried all of it, made it disappear, because that's what powerful fathers do, isn't it? You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Isabella pulled out her phone. I have copies of every report, every failed test, every warning. Would you like me to send them to the reporters standing right there? Officer Brennan Jr. stepped forward angrily. You're bluffing. Am I, officer? Should we also discuss the 3 harassment complaints filed against you during training? The 2 women who withdrew their statements after your father's friends visited them. Isabella's eyes were merciless. Or maybe we should talk about the DUI you got dismissed last year. The one where you hit a parked car and fled the scene, the crowd murmured. Cameras zoomed in. This is slander, Brennan Sr. growled. Arrest her now! 2 officers moved forward. Isabella raised her hand. One more step, and I make a phone call. Just one. And your entire department will be under federal investigation by sunset. Brennan laughed. You think you have that kind of power? I don't think. I know. Isabella's smile was terrifying. Do you want to test me, Deputy Chief? Do you want to discover exactly who I am? Some mobster's daughter playing dress-up. Is that what you think? Isabella descended the steps slowly, every movement deliberate. Let me educate you about Chicago, Deputy Chief. This city runs on relationships, favors, debts, and I hold more markers than you can imagine. She stopped 5 feet from him. Your mayor, I funded his campaign. Your superintendent? His daughter's medical bills were paid by one of my charities, Judge Morrison, who signed your warrant. I have photographs of him doing things that would end his career in minutes. Brennan's confidence wavered. But that's not even my real power, Isabella continued. You want to know what I really control? The unions, the construction permits, the waste management contracts, the liquor licenses. Every business owner on the north side pays me respect. Every alderman knows my number. I am woven into the fabric of this city so deeply that pulling one thread would unravel everything. She stepped closer. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to withdraw that warrant. Your son is going to resign from the police force. And both of you are going to disappear from public life before I decide to show Chicago exactly what kind of men you really are. You can't threaten me. It's not a threat. It's a courtesy, because the alternative is much worse. Isabella's voice dropped to a whisper only Brennan could hear. I know about the money, Harold, the evidence room thefts, the protection payments you collect from the gangs you're supposed to be fighting. I've been documenting it for 3 years, waiting for the right moment to use it. Brennan's face went white. That's right, Isabella said softly. You're not the only one who buries secrets, but mine stay buried until they're useful. She turned to address everyone watching. Deputy Chief Brennan has realized there's been a mistake. The warrant was based on false information. He's withdrawing all charges. Isn't that right, Deputy Chief? Brennan stood frozen. His son looked between them, confused. Isn't that right? Isabella repeated louder. Brennan's jaw worked. Finally, he nodded. The warrant is withdrawn. The crowd erupted. Questions shouted from every direction. But Isabella was already walking back to her house, Samuel following in stunned silence. Behind them, Brennan Jr. protested to his father. What are you doing? We had her. No, son, Brennan said quietly, staring at Isabella's retreating form. She had us. She's always had us. Inside, Isabella poured herself whiskey with steady hands. Samuel finally found his voice. "Who are you?" Isabella looked at him with ancient, tired eyes. "I'm the woman who never forgot that a second chance is the most valuable gift in the world," she said, "and I protect what's mine." Samuel stood in his daughter's kitchen, watching Monica cook Sunday dinner. The smell of roasted chicken filled the air. His grandchildren argued over a board game in the living room. Everything was normal, ordinary, safe, but nothing was the same. It had been 3 weeks since the arrest. 3 weeks since Isabella Russo revealed herself as his guardian angel. The news cycle had moved on, but the changes remained. Officers Brennan, father and son, had resigned quietly. The news reported early retirement and pursuing other opportunities. Only Samuel knew the truth. Only he understood the power Isabella wielded. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Dinner tonight? My place? 7 p.m.? Car will pick you up." "Aye." Monica noticed his expression. "Everything okay, Dad?" "Fine, baby. Just a friend." "This mysterious friend who's been sending cars and security guards to watch the house?" She stirred the gravy, not looking at him. "Dad, who is she?" Samuel had told Monica the basics. A woman he'd helped years ago. Someone grateful, someone powerful. But not the whole truth, not the blood and fear and desperation of that night 40 years ago. "She's someone who remembers kindness," he said finally. "She's dangerous. I've been reading about the Russo family, the rumors. Dad, you could get hurt." "She won't hurt me." "How do you know?" Samuel thought about Isabella's eyes when she'd whispered, "Your guardian." The weight of a 4-decade debt, the fierceness of her protection. "Because I gave her something once that no one else would," he said quietly. "Hope." The car arrived at 6:30. Same driver, same leather seats. Samuel wore the suit Isabella had given him. It still fit perfectly. Isabella's brownstone glowed with warm light. But tonight she wasn't alone. An older woman sat in the living room, silver hair elegant, face lined with age and wisdom. She looked up when Samuel entered, and her eyes widened. "This is him?" she asked Isabella in Italian. "Yes, Nonna, this is Samuel Washington." The woman stood slowly, arthritis visible in her movements. She approached Samuel and did something he didn't expect. She took his hands and kissed them. "Thank you," she whispered in accented English. "Thank you for saving my granddaughter." Samuel looked at Isabella, confused. "My grandmother flew in from Sicily," Isabella explained. "She wanted to meet you. After my father died, she was the one who welcomed me back, who helped me become who I am. But she always knew the truth about New York, about you." The grandmother, tears in her eyes, touched Samuel's face gently. "You gave her back to us. You gave her a future. There is no treasure, no amount of money that can repay such a gift." They sat for dinner, simple Italian food prepared by Isabella herself. Pasta, wine, bread. The grandmother told stories about Isabella as a child, stubborn, fierce, always trying to prove herself in a world that said girls were less. "She was lost for so long," the grandmother said. "After she ran, we thought she was dead. Then one day she came home, different, stronger, with purpose." She looked at Samuel. "That was your gift to her. Purpose." After dinner, the grandmother retired early. Isabella and Samuel sat on the terrace, looking at the city lights. "I've been thinking," Isabella said quietly, "about second chances, about debts and redemption, about what we owe each other." "You don't owe me anything," Samuel said, "not anymore." "But I do. I owe you everything." She turned to face him. "I've spent 20 years building an empire, taking what I wanted, protecting what was mine. But I forgot something important. I forgot to ask what you wanted." "What do you mean?" "Your apartment is small. Your pension barely covers expenses. Your daughter works 2 jobs to support her kids." Isabella's voice was gentle. Let me help, Mr. Washington. Really help. Not with cars and security, with a life worthy of who you are. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's a gift from someone who understands the value of second chances. She smiled. There's a community center in your neighborhood. Closing next month due to lack of funding. What if it stayed open? What if you ran it, gave other kids the guidance you gave me? Samuel's breath caught. I'm not qualified. You're the most qualified person I know. You see people's humanity when everyone else sees problems. You give second chances when the world says to give up. Isabella's eyes were fierce. Let me fund it. Let me give you the resources to change lives the way you changed mine. Samuel looked at the city below. Millions of people, some lost, some desperate, some needing exactly what he'd given Isabella that night 40 years ago. Hope. Okay, he whispered. Okay. Isabella squeezed his hand. We'll start next week, but tonight, I want you to know something. You saved a monster's daughter and turned her into something better. That's not just mercy, that's magic. Samuel smiled. Everyone deserves a second chance. Yes, Isabella said softly. They do. The city sparkled below them, full of possibility and promise. Two people connected across 4 decades by a single moment of grace. A debt repaid not in money or power, but in purpose. Samuel Washington had given a frightened girl hope, and Isabella Russo had given a forgotten man dignity. In the end, that's what second chances are for, not to erase the past, but to transform it into something worth the future. What would you have done if you found a desperate stranger who needed help? Would you have called the police or given them a second chance? Share your thoughts below.